The One Piece live action is a failure. But how? One Piece is the most sold manga in the world. It surpassed Harry Potter in sales. It has 2 Guinness World Records. It's the most watched anime of 2022. And the live action itself was #1 in 84 different countries and got a 96% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. How could that possibly be a failure? Let's talk about it. Warning though, obviously spoilers, but One Piece is not only the best storyteller, but also the best copyright claimer. They even got this guy for cooking out of Sanji's cookbook, so you get to look at this ugly mug for a video. Thanks for that. But the story. If you're a manga or an anime fan, you need to understand one thing going into this, and that it's almost a reimagining of the One Piece story versus a live action adaptation. And you're either gonna love this or you're gonna hate it. And if you hate it, go sit in the corner because this is quality television. Personally, I've really enjoyed the new and refreshing take, and it's re-sparked a love I've had for the series, and in some aspects, I've enjoyed it more than the anime. So what changed, you ask? Well, for starters, Garp's in the very first scene. He's at Gold D. Rogers' execution, and from that point forward, he's the main antagonist chasing the Straw Hats throughout the entire season. And I think this is both good and bad. Long-lasting fans would probably understand that this just isn't something Garp would do, and it seems really out of character. However, it is nice giving it a long-lasting seasonal antagonist, giving the story more structure instead of breaking the 8 episodes that we do have into 3 sections of like Axe Hand, Buggy, Arlong. And it's a much better storytelling structure, so new fans would probably prefer this more. And some other changes were the flashbacks. I didn't hate them this time. The anime is famous for stretching out content to hit that juicy 23-minute mark, making characters stare at each other for awkwardly long time periods, recapping for a quarter of the episode, and the flashbacks just span on and on multiple episodes. But in the live action, they just started and then they finished, maybe being broken up one time throughout the episode, but still finishing within the episode with the exception of Luffy's. But for example, Sanji's was my favorite flashback in the whole series because it wasn't interrupted. But this complaint slash fact slash opinion, I don't really know what to categorize it at. But it just goes hand in hand with the pacing. The anime is really drawn out, while the live action is a much better pacing, and you could argue a little on the fast side. Like, personally, I thought Seer Village was 10 times better in the live action than it was in the anime, while other parts like Sanji's goodbye was reduced from a much more emotional, complex thing to, why can't I cook here? Because you can't. Maybe I'll work for that pirate then. Do it then. Okay, bye. But the most notable change any anime fan would notice would be the fights. They surprisingly weren't butt cheeks. While the CGI for Buggy, the Sea King, and most of Luffy's fights I thought were really good, they still had their not so good moments. And also, I thought Luffy's fights were the least exciting in the whole show because they had to use CGI, so there's a lot of starting and then stopping again. Whilst other fights like Zoro and Sanji's fights was my favorite because they can use other cheaper special effects, camera angles, and acting that the other fights don't have to rely on. But you can't talk about the behind the scenes productions without talking about the characters and the casting because it was immaculate. You know the guy who played Zeph? I just imagine him walking into the auditions and they're like, you know what? You got the part because he just looks like the guy. Normally I'm a Zoro versus Sanji kind of person, but I like them both equally in the live action. I also hated Usopp, like really did not like Usopp pre-time skip, but Jacob made me love him. And Nami was like maximum 5th favorite Straw Hat, but in the live action, she's possibly my favorite. That's how good Emily Rudd did. And by far, the best person in the show was Buggy. The actor sold every ounce of his charisma and goofiness while adding his own live action flair to it, and he was by far the standout performer of the entire season. Every single person casted, I think, did at least slightly above average to phenomenal. And one thing that they all did perfectly was they weren't 2D. I know, 3D women, scary. But hearing real people voices coming from a real person with their facial expressions and their body language just breathed new life into the One Piece characters that we've never seen before. And I mean, obviously, an actor or an actress whose job is to make a fictional character feel real is gonna be a lot more realistic than a 2D animation ever could. But I think the anime community always looks over the fact how much more connected you can be to a real person than a 2D animation, and I think that live action really emphasizes this because my favorite parts were just them having fun banter versus normally in anime, the fights. So what about this live action is a failure? One that's far surpassed any we've ever seen before. One that's almost at a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. One that's #1 in so many different countries. Well, Oda said it was himself. He wanted it to break out of the anime community and into the everyday households, but it just didn't. Critics were rating it only an 83 on major review sources, some ripping it apart with viable opinions, other with baseless accusations with little knowledge on the series. IGN. So it just kind of makes you wonder, are we gonna get a season 2? So I'm editing this and the scripts are released, so we probably are. One Piece's world and characters just get bigger and crazier as the story progresses, and I would love to see how they handle some of the things like the Giants or Fishman Island or characters like Chopper. And maybe with the success that it had, we'll get a bigger budget than 17 million per episode, and they can use that money to match the crazier and crazier world we get to see. And I really do hope and pray we get more, because I love the reimagined story of One Piece, and I do think there's a non-anime fan base out there for it, and maybe with time they'll find it for themselves. And yeah, live action suck, but you can still find great anime and TV recommendations on the Gasp TV app, and follow me and all your friends to see what we're watching and recommend too. All the links are in my bio. But hey, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe, let me know your favorite or not so favorite part of the live action down below. I know the video is a little more different than normal, but if you want to see my normal content, then just watch one of these, and I'll see you in the next one.